I think, Sam, we can start because students are joining in and they will keep on joining. So we start. Are you okay with it, Sam?
Awesome. Yes.
Right. Good evening.
Thank you.
And we have today for Future You Talks, we have Professor Sam from Nigeria. Sam, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Woxsen University. Thank you for having me. I am happy to be here. Please make me a co-host so I'll be able to share my slides. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all the way in India. Good afternoon if you're joining from Nigeria, and good morning if you're joining from the United States. Good day, everyone, wherever you're joining from. I am particularly excited that I'm here once again. Okay, so while my slides will be shared shortly, I'm still waiting to be made a co-host. I would love to first thank the team at Woxsen University for inviting me to share once again as a facilitator on your platform. Let me share my slides now. The last time I was here, how many people were here the last time? If you were in my last session, please type 1 in the chat room. If you were in the last session I had with the university, please type 1 in the chat room. Let me see how many people are my colleagues. Let me see how many people were here the last time. Show me yourselves. Or maybe this is a totally new batch. Oh, that's nice. By the way, guys, my friends from Nigeria and across the world are also part of this call right now. So please celebrate my friends with me as I go on to talk about our topic today. My talk today is about futurism. It is titled Futurism, the Integration of Virtual and Augmented Reality in Artistic Business Practices. And this is a topic I love because it just furthers the conversation around creativity and artistic business dimensions that our businesses can adopt all over the world. So let's go on. I would like to introduce myself once again. I'm called the Octopus, and I am a doctoral student of University of Business Innovation and Sustainability in Geneva, Switzerland. I am the founder, CEO of Circa Africa. My primary interest is to talk to founders, board members, and C-suite executives. Today, I have with me one of my allies and partners with whom I do a lot of collaborations, and I have invited her to co-facilitate the session with me. So I'm going to ask her to say 1 or 2 things, just introduce herself. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Emem Opashi PMP, currently joining from the United States of America. Hi, Emem.
Hi, Sam, and hi, everyone. Good morning. It's really early in the call. It's early in the morning. Thank you so much for the privilege. And I want to encourage us out there, those of us who are the MBA students and guests, to be as engaged as possible with the conversation. We hope to get you to answer some of our questions and to take part in the conversation. So I look forward to a great time here. Thanks, Sam. And thank you.
Awesome.
For University.
Fantastic. Guys, you're going to have a great time with myself and Emem. Emem is gifted in activities and getting you to move yourselves and getting you to think and getting you to brainstorm. She's the queen of creativity. So in a moment, you're going to encounter Emem. So let's delve straight into the conversation. This is my agenda in the next few minutes. We're going to first talk about artistic business practices. What's an example of an artistic business practice? Then we're going to go into virtual reality. What is a virtual reality? How does it portend for businesses? How can businesses in artistic dimensions take advantage of virtual reality? Then we're going to talk about augmented reality and talk about what it is, how it impacts on businesses, and then definitely we're going to share 1 or 2 case studies. That's where my friend Emem is going to come and share with us some case studies that businesses across the world can adopt when it comes to virtual and augmented reality. So let's go. What is a business that is an artistic business? In my last presentation, the last time I came on this call, we talked about how communities can be used to drive art businesses. And we went into discussing art forms. So I am bringing this particular screen back from the previous presentation, and I showed you all the natures and context of artistic businesses. So when it has to do with art or drawing or music or dance or architecture or painting or performance, literature, these are the different dimensions of artistic businesses. Look at this screen. This is an example of an artistic business. If you're in the United States or if you're into dance business, you will know that the Juilliard is the #1 dance brand in the world. And they are recognized as the biggest dance business in the world. This is an example of an artistic business.
Doesn't seem like.
Okay, thank you for that moment. So Juilliard dance business is known as the biggest dance brand in the world. This is an example of an artistic business. I just figured I should mention 1 or 2 businesses that is an artistic business so you can have a context. What does it mean when we say artistic business? Another business that is artistic is Getty Images. I'm not sure. You can Google any word on the internet looking for a picture and you will not find an example of a Getty image. Getty Image seems to be the most popular internet-based photography representation, and it's considered the most credible photography brand in the world, the Getty Image. I just picked just 2 examples of an artistic business. So if you've been to a museum before, it's an artistic business. If you've been to a shrine before, it's an artistic business. If you've seen a billboard wherever before, it's an artistic business. Any business that has to do with creativity, that has to do with art and forms of art is an artistic business. Just for us to have a case in point, an example of an artistic business. So let's now talk about virtual reality. Virtual reality really is defined as a computer-generated environment with scenes and objects that appear to be real, making the user feel they are immersed in their surroundings. This environment is perceived through a device known as a virtual reality headset or helmet. Many people know virtual reality. I'm sure you've imagined those days, or sometimes you've seen on TV or in some parks and gardens or shops where somebody wears a headgear and is punching, and they are afraid of being hit. And sometimes we laugh at them because while they are in that headgear and somebody is punching them and they're like, oh my goodness, and it's crazy. I've seen one where it's like a roller coaster and people are wearing a virtual reality headset, but they are going on a roller coaster that is a wheel up there in the skies. And the roller coaster goes up and comes down with that top speed. And they're wondering, oh my goodness, we're going to fall off. That is virtual reality. And it's such a powerful, engaging experience. And today we want to establish how businesses can take advantage of such an experience that can go a long way to change their experiences. Emem, let me hear you come in at this point.
All right, thank you. I'd really love to hear from some of us. I can see that we have about 213 participants, and I'm sure that we all have something to say. So I would love to see if we want to be sure your mics are working and also that the chat area is working. So I would like, if possible, if some of the students, the MBA students and the guests can type any experience they may have had, any experience with VR, or also how they feel this VR can be applied in their industries. I mean, they're students, so I'm hoping that they also have their own experiences, you know. So I want to be sure your mics and or the chat area is working. Is that okay if you type in while we're getting ready to go to the next slide, you know, especially for we're talking about businesses and art. We're talking about businesses and art,
Yeah.
right? Creative businesses for them. There is going to be a lot of that. So hopefully they do type in the chat area and represent their university as best as possible.
Awesome.
I'm going to be looking out for that. So while they're doing that, then we can now continue. And I'll take the last part when you're talking about AR. Yeah.
Fantastic. So
Okay.
while we wait for them to send in their inputs, I'm going to go to the next part of the slide. Now, virtual reality is a powerful tool that artistic businesses can adapt to undertake the following areas. And I want you to take key note of these words. Number one, virtual reality helps businesses with their brand association. And what this means is that when a user wears your virtual reality helmet, they are having a touch point with your brand. It's such a powerful way for people to experience your brand. Today, when you go to an Apple shop, they give you some tour and journey of an experience about their brand. And you hardly can leave an Apple shop without buying an Apple item. And if you don't buy one, you will leave heartbroken like, oh, God, when? For some of us in Nigeria that understand what that means. The second thing virtual reality does is brand awareness. Because what that does is you're able to get people to remotely connect with your brand and they get to understand better about your brand, which leads to brand education. The third part, brand education. It means that you can use virtual reality to create an education about people knowing your brand, knowing the essence of your brand, knowing where you're coming from, knowing what your brand represents, and knowing where your brand is going. And then the next item is service sales. When people have experienced your brand, then they have the higher chances of buying from your brand. Let me give you an example, or let me say this. We say that the more sensory organs that your business can touch in a person's experience, the higher the chances they will from. In biology, they say there are 5 sensory organs that a man or a woman has. There's the sense of taste, the sense of touch, the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, and the sense of what again? Smell, sense of smell. Now, if your virtual reality system can reach more than 3 or 2 of these sensory organs, there is a higher chance that the customer will buy from you. So that's another advantage of the virtual reality. You create a wholesome experience that makes them have a sense of sight, touch, smell, hearing, and feel. And then, of course, that is a good way to engage members of your community, because once they have a contact with your brand, they're able to engage better with your brand. So that is for virtual reality. Let's now go into the different areas that virtual reality actually adds direct value to customers and to the market. For people in health, especially artistic health dimensions, virtual reality can help with specific illnesses. You will realize that in modern times, high-end clinical businesses are beginning to offer surgeries and interventions for clinical services using virtual reality. So the medical practitioner can go into your system or understand how your system works and can help to create a procedure or perform a procedure just using virtual reality as a means and a vehicle to get into your anatomy. Another thing that businesses can do is that they can undertake virtual tours and real-time product demos. So if you're a business, especially in artistic form, you can create virtual copies of your services and product. And someone can sit in your room or sit virtually and take a tour of your buildings, a tour of your facilities. Look at Woxsen University, for example. Let's assume you have, I'm going to make some assumptions. Let's assume you have 9 faculties, you have 25 departments, you have different, units, and then you can take a customer on a virtual tour of your buildings, your classrooms, your lecture sessions, and give them a taste of what really happens in real life. That is such a powerful way to sell your university. People can sit anywhere in the world, in their countries, and experience your brand. And that just can be the reason why your numbers can increase in terms of enrollment and registrations. The next is gamified experiences. People can actually undertake activities and games and have a lot of fun using virtual reality. And we've talked about raising awareness, product experiences, and then people can have a taste of results that they can experience if they came on your platform. Imagine that Woxsen today has a virtual reality tour of the alumni, graduates from your university that are Harvard professors or Silicon Valley experts, or doing well in finance or doing well in health and etc. That's a very powerful way to sell your university. And all businesses in art can actually do the same thing very, 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 very much. So that's about virtual reality. I'm going to have Emem come for a minute to talk about what she's read in the chat room before I go into augmented reality. So Emem, what's up?
Okay, I have one person who put a comment, and interestingly, what I've noticed in this group is that there are so many, the AI assistants are actually almost more than the number of real people. So we get a lot of messages, hi, I'm an AI assistant for this person and that person. So even the AI assistants were also hoping that they would engage. And one person said that they have experienced VR in gaming, so that in a gaming situation. So that's what we have in the chat area. And we have a lot of AI assistants also just acknowledging themselves in the chat area. So we have Yash. Thank you, Yash, for sending in that comment. We're hoping to have more people also engage with us. So yeah, so that's what we have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So let's go into augmented reality. Augmented reality is a slightly advanced form of virtual reality. It's a type of technology that allows digital images and information to be displayed onto the physical environment. And what that does is you're trying to give an enhanced customer or your patrons or your prospects. Let me give you an example of how this works. For example, many people on social media, Snapchat, Instagram, we use filters. If we were having this session as some form of reels, for example, everybody will be wearing a filter. Some will be wearing blue laser colored filter, butterflies on the skin, your ears popping like a rabbit. Those are augmented reality platforms or tools. And another example is many people have avatars for your emojis. You want to adopt avatars. So you create an avatar of yourself wearing a red glass and some pinky lip and some flushy hair. You're trying to look unique and beautiful. That's augmented reality of your person. There is a very beautiful one that happens a lot, especially in fashion shops and car dealers. You can go to a fashion shop and you want to be able to say, if I buy this dress, what would I look like? So an augmented reality, for example, is you going to a fashion shop and you go to a mirror and select the color of a dress, maybe a blouse. And in the camera or in the mirror, you will actually see your image wearing the color of the blouse you selected. And select a particular skirt, it shows. You select a particular shoe or sneakers, it shows. You select a particular earring, it shows. So right in real time, you're seeing yourself wear what you select, just so you have a good idea of what it looks on you in real life. That is augmented reality. The same thing car dealers can do. A car dealer comes to you and says, we have a Cadillac and we want you to buy it. And you say, oh, do you have it in blue? They select blue. It shows. Do you have so alloyed rims for the tires? They select it. It shows. I like my seat to be red. They select red. The seats go red. I like my dashboard to have a sound box like this. They select the sound box. So you're able to see the car exactly customized, how you imagine it. And you're like, I think that red seat does not sit right. Let's go to brown seat. And they select it and it changes. That is augmented reality. Transferring a digital representation into a physical look so that it informs your need to whether you want to commit or not commit. The same thing happens with painting and curation of art. If you want to sell anything you make, just create a digital version that a customer can experience real time, and that increases the chances that they will be interested in buying that item. So, in what ways can augmented reality help businesses that are in artistic forms? One, augmented reality or augmented views enables clients to see and evaluate purchase in real time for instant decision making. And this is significant for businesses all over the world. If you want, let's go into businesses like if a customer have need for identity, have need for lighting, need space, your augmented reality platform create experience, hire your service. And that is very, the second advantage of augmented reality, engaging target senses. I had talked a little earlier about the 5 sensory organs that we say in biology. And we said we have the visual, we have the auditory, we have the kinesthetic. I'm talking about sight, hearing, taste, feel, and smell. So when you implement augmented reality successfully, it enhances the taste of these sensory organs, and that helps to accelerate a marketing decision. Remember, a purchasing decision is purely an emotional decision. I want somebody to write that statement in the chat room. A purchasing decision is purely an emotional decision, which means that if you want to increase the chances that somebody will buy from your business, you have to make sure there is an emotional connection to the product. And that's where augmented reality plays a very huge role. Fantastic. I can see some comments. Emem is going to come to that very soon. Augmented reality gathers buyer feedback for product improvement without your shop, and you show me the things I want to buy in the colors and specifications that I want them, and you don't buy for 1 or 2 reasons, what that tells me is I can modify the product without having to mass produce that product outside your inputs. So augmented reality goes a long way, because if I've used the digital version of a product to improve on the product, then when I produce the physical product, I have already worked on that without losing. Then that also goes into product experience be achieved from augmented reality. The companies across the world, and this is just a very small list, companies across the world that use augmented reality are as follows. IKEA is a furniture company. And IKEA today when you go to their beautiful say,
I think there's a challenge with the sound.
I want to buy furniture.
Okay, so I think that there was a challenge with the sound for him, and I'm sure he'll be able to come back in. When it comes back in, I'm going to read some of the comments, but it was speaking about some of the companies that are already implementing artificial AR, artificial reality. And we spoke about companies like IKEA, that you can actually go on an IKEA website and you can rearrange, you can choose the furniture set you want, see how it will look in your room, and then it would help you to make your purchase. So he's putting back the slide. You have companies like Amazon that are really good at pushing more things. So if you buy one thing, it suggests other things that you should get to match the thing that you just got and makes you spend more money. So Sam is back, and I'll hand it back to him. Okay, Sam.
Oh,
Once
thank you,
I'll read
MM.
the questions and comments. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, lovely. So MM has tried to share some of the brands that use augmented reality and in some cases, virtual reality. If you look at each of these brands, you can almost tell what purpose their approach would be like. Let's do some quick engagements, and I'm sure MM would help with this. I want you to, all the participants, if you can, in the chat room, look at a brand name and tell us what sector and how do you think they are using augmented reality really? You can unmute yourself, that will also be nice. A brand like Gucci, how are they using augmented reality in your opinion? A brand like L'Oreal. Is somebody trying to say something? Manasa? Okay. Let's hear from you. I'd like to hear from someone in the room. What's a brand like Acura using augmented reality for? What would a brand like Amazon use augmented reality for? Who can help us? It would be so nice to read from someone or hear from someone how these brands adopt and utilize virtual or augmented reality in the operations of their business. How about Burberry? You can tell from each of these brands that they are able to put their product forward and allow you to customize the experience. That is absolutely, it's so genius because it means that they can just create a template and you create your experience. Able to adopt strategy, create a template or a service template and allow your customer an experience. It is so possible even in means that you can create an augmented reality of that team. Person or follow the dance routine. As their dance routine, tell whether they're and you're helping them correct their dance routine. name again.
Okay, sound is breaking again. But we have some comment, which I'm really excited about. So, Yash says Pokemon Go uses as a gaming tool, like they place Pokemons in the AR, which we can see and catch them on their application. Yeah, that was one of the most addictive things I've ever seen. Our whole family was addicted to Pokemon. And then we have Yash. Yash should win an award, whoever you are, Yash Tiagi. Amazon uses AR to place the products customer is searching for on a tabletop or on any other surface at their home. Thank you, Curti. Curti says Amazon would use it to give users a product experience, while L'Oreal could do the same to give them what hair color could suit them, which is very interesting, yes, because I also I get to choose these things. I get to look at hair colors and see how they work. I'm really happy. I hope we have more comments. It's helpful to have this engagement so that we're sure that you are following along. And I think I had 2 more comments earlier. I'm just scrolling to them. Someone also mentioned earlier about eyeglasses. Yes, 2 people mentioned about eyeglasses. They purchased a lens cart by using AR on their app. And then there's a question, which I would take it and then Sam would further it when he comes back in. And someone also says, yes, many D2C brands like Lens Card, I think I'm saying it, yeah, and others also use AR, and it's very useful for choosing the right pair of eyeglasses. Exactly. I think the last pair I got, I also, for the first time, used one of those AR things, and it checks the size of your, the shape of your face and how the glasses would fit you or not. I'm just seeing the raw on the screen. Also, yes, and then we have a question here. How can artists leverage VR and AR to build a larger audience and fan base? I think in the next 2 slides, we actually have something around that conversation. But some of your chat and some of the things that Sam has spoken about, he was talking about how people are using virtual reality to bring in more people to build up more, stronger brand communities. So for example, before we we're moving somewhere to see the place you want us to stay in. It's so perfect because you can get to do a virtual tour, of somewhere that's across the globe. It shows you how the place looks like. It looks like you're walking through it. And then they try and encourage you to join a community, so with VR, you can do much. People get to interact with your brand already. They get to like you a bit more, trust you a bit more, and then they want to sign up. And the same thing with AR. Both of these things, what they do is that they touch on your emotions and draw you in further into being almost addicted to a brand. So they function that way, but Sam will talk more about that. So Sam is finally back and is going to continue sharing the slide. So hopefully the network. Okay, Sam. Oops. Let me see.
Hi, Emem, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Very well. Good, good, good.
Oh, okay.
Welcome back.
So sorry about that. The network threw me out. Did you get some engagement from the room, Emem?
Yes, yeah. So I was reading out some of the comments and I was reading out some of the comments and acknowledging them. So some of them spoke about how D2C brands like Lenscart use AR and VR for you to choose your eyeglasses before going there. And then someone asked a question which I would like you to touch on. Curti asked a question: how can artists leverage VR and AR to build a larger audience and fan base?
Awesome.
Yeah.
To build a larger audience at the fan base, honestly, you have to emphasize on experience, making sure that one, there is a lot of contact points with people who like your brand, because you must have built a likable brand that people want to experience. And then your AR or VR strategy should emphasize brand experience. service experiences, product experiences that make people fall in love with your brand. A typical example that comes to mind is Apple. Every time in fact, just an Apple launch event is a powerful experience. And so imagining joining an Apple launch event, a product launch of Apple via any of their AR or VR machinery, you will fall in love with the brand. And that way people can increase their patronage of your brand and experience of your brand. So if you want to increase your customer base or your fan base, it is directly proportional to the experiences you create for that fan base. The more people experience your brand, the more they want other people to experience your brand. And that's just the direct correlation you should pay attention to. I can see a question from Arbin Chetri. And he says, do you think AR and VR have the potential to revolutionize the marketing landscape, or are they just passing trends? Well, now we're going into more tech-related marketing. Now we're going into more, if you remember the concept behind Meta, the concept behind Meta was completely augmented reality. And that's the future, really. The future is that not everybody will physically come to your business to experience your business. And not everybody will go to your website. There has to be some form of experience you're creating for your fan base, your prospects, and those that admire your brand, so that they can experience your brand. And from experiencing your brand, they can love your brand. And from loving your brand, they can buy to brand loyalty. And the essence is when a person contacts your brand, which is brand awareness, for you to make them loyal, they must have experienced your brand in the way that they want. So what this means is, as you're building contact points for your prospects and customers, you're helping them love your brand more. And as they're loving your brand more and they're buying from your brand, and you're engaging them using all the remote machinery you've got like AR and VR, then they're able to do more purchases for you, because the end goal of marketing is sales. So it's actually a very straight strategy, and it is not a passing fad at all. It is here to stay. It's actually the future. Kirti is asking, how will the integration of VR and AR impact the traditional art market and gallery system? Now, the traditional art market and gallery system will always be here, especially because it's a local service. Now, what that means is that the traditional art market and gallery system is a brick and mortar model. However, all brick and mortar businesses that want to scale must pay attention to AR and VR, because like we cited earlier, the following advantages are key. One, do you have the need for more people to know your brand? If you want more people to know your brand, AR and VR is key, because more people can experience your brand that way. Number two, do you want more people to buy from your brand from anywhere in the world? AR and VR is a necessary instrument for that to happen, because from experiencing your brand, they can buy from your brand. Number three, do you want to be able to evolve your product and services effectively at a lower cost? Then AR and VR is a necessary component, because when people experience your brand at the digital level and give you feedback, before you go into production, you have a working solution that you're going to production with. So you see, it is a cheaper cost of market visibility, is a cheaper cost of product visibility. AR and VR is very important. So you see, these are very key. And then of course, number four, if you want global fan base, AR and VR is the way to go. Because if you're staying with your brick and mortar, how many people will know your brand that way? So AR and VR is a global, global collation, global compilation of fans, followers, prospects, and in the end, buyers. So I hope that helps you, Kirti, to answer your question. I don't know if there was a question that I still missed out, MM. I'm so happy I brought you on this call because with the network issues, that would have been very disappointing.
I know. This is good. Yeah, I think you've answered. I scrolled up to address the other ones. I think you've answered most of them. I think there was a private one sent in about where do holograms come into this? You know, so holograms are, HR, or I mean, are they AR or VR? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So holograms are AR. Remember the definition of AR. So let me go back 1 or 2 slides. We had defined AR as a type of technology that allows digital images and information to be displayed onto the physical environment. This is a direct definition of a hologram. Because what that means is, if this event was happening in a physical hall, I can be in Nigeria and using augmented reality, I'll be speaking on the stage in India, physically. But it's just transmission of light of my image. And that's powerful. That is how people are still able to experience Michael Jackson today. That's how people are still able to experience Tupac today. That's how people are still able to experience Whitney Houston. That's how people are still able to experience Steve Jobs. By just taking a digital version of their image and transmitting it using augmented reality, and it looks like they are actually in the room with you. It's such a powerful technology. So you see, you really cannot run away from the adoption of this in any form and nature of business, especially for businesses that are futuristic and that have the resources to implement this and the support to make it happen. But it's definitely the way to go when it has to do with business development, when it has to do with customer development, when it has to do with sales, and when it has to do with product innovation. These are very key elements that we need to take note of. So, Emem, were you able to discuss the case studies?
No, we just touched on some of the ones that the companies that you had over there. We didn't talk about industries yet. We touched on some people typed in the chat area, and then I spoke about them. I think another question here is about NFTs.
Yes.
Personally, that's something for some reason I've never been able to to grasp. I would love to hear your perspective, and I'm sure the students would also benefit from hearing about that. Where do they fall into this? You know, what's the future of that in art?
Okay, so NFT is not augmented reality. NFT is a digitized product from a physical product. So NFTs are just like digital prints of a physical product. It's just like if somebody takes a screenshot of this session we're having from their mobile device, NFT helps to convert it into bitmaps, more like digital version of this image, so that it can be transmitted through digital channels that people can buy for and sign up. It's just like auctioning something that is highly valued. So an NFT is an item that is highly valued, but in a digital format that can be bought on the internet using cryptocurrency or cryptography as an exchange medium. So it is not augmented reality. Let's not forget, augmented reality means that there is something that is physical. We need to create a digital version of it to appear in a physical space, not where I am physically. So it's just like saying we're transmitting an item to a remote location using a digital vehicle. That's augmented reality. That's why I said somebody can go to a fashion shop, you can see a dress, you pick the color you want, and it's showing as though you are physically wearing the dress. You see, we're transmitting a physical item through a digital format into a physical appearance. That is augmented reality. Virtual reality, on the other hand, is actually a virtual journey. You're not creating a physical experience. You're actually assuming that you are inside the digital space. It's like saying, I am physically here in Nigeria, but when I wear a virtual reality helmet, I am virtually in America. So I can take a tour of the White House. I can take a tour of the Pentagon, but I'm physically in Nigeria. That's virtual reality. So those are the two differences. But in augmented reality, I can be physically here and physically in White House using augmented reality tools that projects light. So I'm taking the work physically here, but I'm actually physically working in the United States, in the White House. That's augmented reality. That's the difference between the both of them. And they are classically different from NFT. So I hope that also helps with that question.
Fantastic. That's actually, I think I'm enjoying the learning also. So I'm happy to be here. I would just want to encourage again the students and participants just to be sure the chat area is working on your end too. If you can just type in, it can be anything. Apart from your questions, you can type in some emoji so that we know that you're still part of it before we get to the last part.
We want to feel you guys.
Yeah. We want to feel the energy.
So, Emem, do you want to take the case studies now? That would be nice.
Okay. To talk about some of the industries, right? So we look at some of the industries already using VR, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. That's really good. I'm just trying to see. Let me see in the chat area. We want to feel the Woxsen. This is, how do you pronounce this university? Woxsen, right? University.
Woxsen, yes.
Yes. Want to feel the vibes. I think yes, Shaggy should get an award. And Kurti, been very engaged with the learning. Thank you, nice. Lima Dia, Bolawatiwi, thank you, and Stella, thank you. Okay, all right. So before we go into questions, before we go into the questions, even I have a lot of questions. I think I'm privileged to be here because I'm also learning a lot more. So a lot of industries are already taking on VR. Sam has mentioned some of them already. We're talking about things like retail. So shops, a lot of retail stores, to be able to grow their the brand equity, really, there. People are using VR. So we have in the healthcare industry, I know many of us have seen things like people are using them to treat severe cases of PTSD or mental illnesses. So I think that's something that is really a huge development, and it's been there for quite a bit of time in the health. And there are a lot of industries. I mean, almost every industry has the potential.
Yes.
One of the questions I was dreaming of asking the audience was actually, are there industries where they feel VR has no place and has no potential? So that's something I like to see in the chat area, if they're able to, while I still just go over, we'll just touch on like maybe 5. There are about 30 or so that I have in front of me here. Tourism. You mentioned tourism. There's people that have, especially during COVID, for people not to lose their businesses, they created virtual reality experiences where you can see and take a tour. You pay for this and enjoy a tour of where it is that you're going and all that and stuff. Yeah. So tourism, I think, is something really huge. And then again, we can integrate or collaborate in our own industry. So a lot of you are in the business of art. You can bring this into other industries too. One of the best ways to grow your experience and grow your creativity is to explore other industries and tap from there. Okay. I was talking about real estate. I mentioned about when we try and book Airbnbs abroad now, you can do a virtual tour. It changes everything because it really makes a big difference.
Yes.
And even schools are doing that now. A lot of colleges, especially here in the States, before you go in, you can get to see a lecture hall. You can get to see all those things.
Yes.
I think one of the most phenomenal ones too, apart from that, also has to do with it. Interior design. Of course. True. So imagine you're trying to set up your house. You have a new house. You have space, and you don't know what to do with the furniture. So interior design are areas that you can also collaborate and look at that. We can all see what it's doing in the learning space. Young students, old students, adult learning, a lot of it now is a lot of virtual reality. You might not be able to go everywhere in the world, but you can bring in virtual reality and learn about the history and future of a lot of places. And then other non-conventional industries like gambling, unfortunately, places like the adult what do you call them now? Adult entertainment are also using that quite a bit. Entertainment itself, of course. So there's every single industry. Sports, during COVID, once again, a lot of teams were now having, you can enjoy a virtual reality experience, and it's as if you're on the you know, you're there in the audience enjoying this here.
Yes.
So there's a lot of industries from there. And I know that hopefully we get more questions. I can see that we have some questions already in the
Yes.
chat area, which okay, our award-winning person who has been very engaged.
Our award-winning,
Award-winning.
just right off what you said, I was just imagining that a university like Woxsen University that has candidates maybe for master's, doctoral programs across the world, the students don't have to travel to India for their defense. They could just really use augmented reality to say, you know what, stay in your country, just get good internet, plug into this system, click on this link, and then we just make sure your camera is sitting right, and then we will see you in the room, and you just make your presentation. Your screen will be projected via augmented reality. You will be in the room physically, even though you're in your country. It's going to be a wholesome experience. It's going to be like a wow. So I'm sure that every sector can take advantage of this, because Yash here is asking, are there industries where AR and VR doesn't give a benefit? Right off the top of my head, even though that may sound like a generalization, I don't think any industry cannot use AR or VR, especially because first, every business is a brand. So brand awareness is a need for AR or VR. That is clear. Number two, every business educates her customers, every business. So already there is a use for that, AR and VR. Every business can use AR and VR to educate their brand. That is certain. Another advantage is that every business has a customer experience. There is something you want your customers to experience about your business, which means that actually your customers can experience you without ever meeting you. So you see, that's another advantage of AR or VR. And then naturally, that will tilt into sales, because the more they experience you, the more they're asking themselves, how can I have this? And that's already the benefit of AR and VR. So I can tell with almost every sense of conviction that every business can use AR or VR, really. Emem.
I think something to ask, and I think that would be beneficial to discuss or put the idea in the student's head, is the cost. How do what is the cost like to begin to implement VR and AR? How astronomical are these
the cost
costs?
like?
Yes.
Fantastic. So now AR and VR, first and foremost, right on the internet. The background, the backbone is the internet, because someone virtually needs to experience this. So that's that part. And internet is really a local issue, it's a local cost, depending on infrastructure, depending on governance, depending on government policies. So that's one cost. The second cost is, what's the scope of experience we want our buyers to have? That will determine the scope of development. Because if all we're doing is customization of products, that's very, very basic. If all we're doing is showcasing rooms and helping you take a tour of our rooms, that's really very basic. But if we're doing things like holograms, which is transporting images to a physical standpoint in another location, the development will be a bit different. So I think the scope of development will determine the extent of work and expenses that may go into implementing AR or VR. And then, of course, the last part is now the fulfillment of the product. Because if I'm in India and I have joined an augmented reality session of a company or product in Nigeria, and I have told you I want my product to have a fat base, a tall base, a yellow color. Okay, now that I have told you and you have gone into production, how does it come to me? So product fulfillment and the logistics behind that, which is why even though AR and VR is fantastic, you're going to also be looking at the distance between where the product is and where the product needs to go with respect to product-based stuff. But of course, for service-based stuff, then virtual options can apply. So it's difficult to say there's a one size fits all. Everything is dependent on what is the scope of the experience we want to give our customers. I think that goes into what goes into the variables of the costing, and then the internet is a variable of its own, the logistics is a variable of its own, and the customer support is a variable on its own. Because a typical, let's use Nigeria as a case study. I am so sure that 99% of Nigerians have never experienced VR before. They see it, but they just feel like, what am I going to go and wear the helmet for? Like, they see it as a child stuff or a teenage stuff. But in business, it's a big time thing. I like that experience you gave about interior design. Any interior decorator that is not using VR or AR, you are leaving money on the table. It's a big catch. So again, how do we educate people on the benefits of AR and VR, which is where education comes in and customer fulfillment, because they think that AR and VR is about playing PS5 and doing those boxing and doing roller coaster, you know, no, it's way beyond that. All that is the fun part of it. The real business part of it requires a lot of support. So that's where the variables of the costing come in.
I'm hoping that everyone is taking note of that. That's really actually a very big factor in this conversation, you know. And I think I just remembered some other two other, you know, areas like fitness, like you mentioned, the PlayStation and the rest. So fitness, people are using to really get themselves, you know, back to health. The social dating scene, VR is really taking a lot. Yeah, so people are using that quite a bit. Of course, for events and all that. I mean, even on Zoom right now, we could actually all, you know, create our own avatars and have our filters, which so that's something
there's this movie that went viral last year, Barbie. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, last year. Oh,
Barbie movie, that was purely augmented reality at play.
Just amazing.
That was purely augmented reality at play. Having to say, people were seeing themselves on a yacht and they were traveling and they were playing and they were mixing up with guys, and it was purely augmented reality at play. And that's how powerful this tool is. Emem, nice one.
Okay.
Wow. I hope everybody can see Emem's video. That's so powerful. I like that. That's augmented reality at play. Wow, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I like that. So really, I think that we've pretty much attended to this subject area. I just wish that we could get more questions from the room, but in the absence of that, I think that Abhishek can take over at this point. But Emem, before we go, I just want to say thank you really for joining me on this call. It turned out to be a blessing because my network would have just kicked me out and then it would have been a lull in the conversation. But thank you for joining all the way from the United States. Woxsen community, please celebrate Emem for me. I really do appreciate that. Yash, you're our special candidate today. You made our conversation quite engaging and interesting. Thank you. We wish we could send you a gift. I don't know how that can happen, but that would have been so nice. So I think at this point we can hand over to Abhishek. Abhishek.
Thank you so much. It was really great sessions, and there's a new thing that thank you, ma'am, that for joining us. And it's something new that we experienced today. I think students, if you have any queries, you can put your queries in front through chat box, or you can unmute yourself. Students, I guess they will go through your presentations once we share with them. And I'll request Sam for please share your presentation with us, because we're going to share it with all the schools that we have, and then also share your email ID. If they want to contact you and know more about it, they can contact you directly.
Yes, let me do that right away. Emem, please share your email address in the chat room too. I'd like them to be able to reach you directly. Abhishek, I'll send you Emem's email and American phone number so you can reach her and host her on your platform. She's such a very resourceful professional. She's a certified project manager. She's a certified illustrator. She's an international business consultant. She would add a lot of value to the Woxsen community. So I'll send her details to you via email.
Thank you so much. I'll copy that, and ma'am, I'll reach out to you as well as Sam, because Sam is always the savior. Whenever we reach out to Sam, Sam is always there to us. Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much for helping us.
Anything for you, Abhishek.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
My pleasure.
And I will please share the
Awesome.
PPT, and then definitely we will reach out to you, ma'am, and as well as Sam for future engagement, because we want to grow up and we
No
need your
problem.
support to grow up as well. So we end here. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Namaste from India, and hope to see you soon in future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.